I've lost count of how many times I've found evidence of Jiang Sinyu's infidelity. A strawberry bear patterned sleep mask left on the passenger seat. I don't know if Jiang Sinyu is blind and didn't see it, or if he intentionally wanted me to find out about his new affair. I picked up the sleep mask and threw it at him, got out of the car, and sat in the back seat. I've been on a business trip these past few days, and it looks like you've had a great time. But Jiang Sinyu, let me warn you, do whatever you want outside, just don't bring anyone home. Even though I caught him with evidence of his affair, Jiang Sinyu still refused to admit it. You're misunderstanding. I was feeling sleepy at the train station, so I just grabbed a random sleep mask from the convenience store, thinking I'd take a nap in the car. Even a ghost wouldn't believe that. But I was too tired to argue with him. Since April of last year, when I discovered Jiang Sinyu's affair and he stubbornly refused to divorce, I had lost all hope in him. The husband I once thought was so good had been cheating for 3 years, with 7 different affairs involving coworkers, business partners, college classmates, his first love, a bar girl. The number of women was so high that he thoughtfully labeled and noted down their birthdays, menstrual cycles, and the start dates of their relationships for easy management. Jiang Sinyu was my first love, the first man I ever loved. To marry him, I went against my parents' wishes and moved from Jinan to Anping, leaving behind family and friends, and my hometown. I thought Jiang Sinyu would bring me happiness and prove to everyone who opposed our relationship that my choice was right. But unfortunately, I lost that bet completely. Jiang Sinyu knelt and apologized to me, saying he was just fooling around, that his heart was always with me, and swore he'd never cheat again. I had lost trust in him, and my love had turned into hatred. Even if he truly changed, so what? There's no going back. We argued for over half a year, but never divorced. The main reasons were money and the children. The house we live in was mortgaged after our marriage, and we've only paid it off for 4 or 5 years, still owing the bank over 600,000 yuan. If we sold the house, with the current market conditions, we'd lose even the down payment, and the most important thing is that there's no market for it. If we didn't sell the house, whether it belonged to me or Jiang Sinyu, neither of us could afford to pay the other half, and one person couldn't handle the monthly mortgage payments alone. We have 2 children. Our eldest daughter, Xinxin, is 9, and our youngest son, Junjun, is 6. If we divorced, we'd each get 1 child. But I want both of them. I can't bear to be separated from either of them. Of course, my greatest hope is that Jiang Sinyu would leave the marriage with nothing. But he's not stupid, just an ordinary man. He knows it would be difficult to find another wife after a divorce, so why would he agree to leave with nothing? It's already good enough that he's not trying to force me out with nothing. I consulted a friend who understands the law, and she told me that even if we went to court, the judge wouldn't rule that Jiang Sinyu has to leave with nothing, nor would they grant me both children. At most, because he is at fault, the property division would favor me. But definitely not all the property. The marriage can't end. The relationship can't be restored. So we just endure it, sleeping in separate rooms, co-parenting. In the eyes of the children and everyone else, we are still husband and wife. But in my heart, I've already divorced him. No, I've widowed him. Jiang Sinyu drove me to his parents' house. His parents live nearby, about a 10-minute walk from our place. On weekdays, if Jiang Sinyu and I are too busy to pick up the kids from school, his mother usually does it. Jiang Sinyu's mother doesn't work, enjoys experimenting with new recipes, and is an excellent cook. She often prepares a large meal and invites us and Jiang Sinyu's sister's family over for dinner. In short, before discovering Jiang Sinyu's infidelity, I was quite satisfied with this marriage. Jiang Sinyu is tall and handsome, has a stable job with a decent income, helps with household chores, and is attentive to the kids. His parents are generous and reasonable people who buy gifts for the children during holidays, give big red envelopes, and contribute significant amounts of money towards buying houses and cars. Unfortunately, all these illusions of happiness came to an abrupt end when I discovered Jiang Sinyu's affair. His parents knew about his betrayal, but aside from scolding him a few times, they urged me to be forgiving, tolerant, and to give him another chance. Over time, they acted as if nothing had happened. If I continued to hold on to it, they would say I was petty and not magnanimous. This incident taught me that a daughter-in-law and her parents-in-law can never truly be one family, let alone united. When the son and daughter-in-law are getting along, everything is fine, but if they argue, even if it's the son's fault, the parents will side with him and stand against the daughter-in-law. As soon as I entered, Xin and Junjun, who were watching TV on the sofa, saw me and immediately ran over. Mommy, I missed you so much. Good. Mommy missed you too. Jiang Sinyu's father brought out a dish from the kitchen. Ayen, you're here. We can start eating now. Your mom prepared a big meal just for you. The table was indeed full of dishes, but none of them were my favorites. Seeing me eat so little, my mother-in-law picked up a chicken wing and placed it on my plate. Eat more. You've lost so much weight recently. There's no meat left on your cheeks. No need, I'm already full. Full? You've only eaten half a bowl of rice. That's not enough. Why did you change jobs for no reason? Now you're always running around doing sales, exhausting yourself. I used to work as a clerk, a 9-to-5 job with weekends off. Last year, I gritted my teeth and switched to a sales job that requires frequent business trips. Not only is it tiring, but I also often face cold receptions and closed doors. For those who understand, there's a clear reason why I would put myself through this. And today, my lack of appetite wasn't due to the business trip, but because the sleep mask I found in the car disgusted me. I don't care if Jiang Xinyu cheats, but just thinking that this habitual cheater is my husband and that I can't get rid of him makes me furious and hateful. Sometimes, I really wish I could tear Jiang Xinyu apart. In the past, I would help clean up the table and kitchen, wash dishes, and tidy up after meals at his parents' house. Now, I just sit on the sofa and play with my phone after eating. When we were about to leave, my mother-in-law brought out some sausages, cured meats, and dried shrimp for us to take home. It's your grandpa's birthday in a few days. Come early for dinner. Okay. As soon as we got in the car, Jiang Xinyu asked, "What gift should we prepare for Dad's birthday?" That's your business. Think of something yourself. Jiang Xinyu immediately got upset. Weren't you the one who always prepared the gifts in the past? How should I know what's appropriate? Exactly. Ever since we got married, I handled all the social interactions and trivial matters. He didn't have to worry about anything and just focused on his job. And look where that got us. He had too much free time and energy, leading him to seek out other women to flirt with and have affairs. You said it yourself. That was in the past. Is the situation the same now? Jiang Xinyu finally shut his mouth and stayed silent. Anyway, I'm done putting in the effort. If Jiang Xinyu doesn't care about his father's birthday as his own son, then neither will I. On my father-in-law's birthday, I worked overtime and arrived very late. During dinner, my mother-in-law once again nagged me about changing jobs and focusing on the family. Focusing on the family. I used to hold that belief, always putting the family and Jiang Xinyu first. And what was the result? The result was a harsh betrayal and deep hurt. Now, aside from my children, money is the most important thing to me. As for Jiang Xinyu, if anyone wants him, I'd sell him off immediately, or even give him away for free. I never want to see him again in this lifetime. One day, I read an article online. It was about an ordinary middle-aged man who could sing and dance and had a good temper. He ended up finding a rich mistress. The rich mistress wanted to have him forever. She gave his wife 1 million yuan and a well-decorated 2-bedroom apartment. The wife happily let go and, from then on, turned her life around, living the life of a wealthy person. She moved into her new place, rented out her old home, and invested the 1 million yuan from the mistress into bank-recommended financial products. With her pension, she lived quite comfortably. She no longer needed to work, woke up naturally every day, then walked the dog, chatted with neighbors, played mahjong, and watched TV dramas. In the evenings, she went to the square dance on time. She joined hiking groups, travel groups, and karaoke groups, and even became a VIP client of a travel agency, frequently traveling with other ladies from the groups. She didn't miss her husband at all. In fact, she was relieved not to have to work like a housemaid every day, taking care of others. After reading this story, I was filled with envy for this wife. Leaving behind an annoying scumbag husband, owning 2 houses, and having 1 million yuan in savings, how wonderful. I couldn't help but send the article to Jiang Xinyu, along with a half-joking, half-encouraging message. You have a decent appearance and height. Put in some effort, and maybe you could hook up with a rich mistress and save us 20 years of struggle. Jiang Xinyu responded with an eye-rolling emoji. We've been sleeping in separate rooms for a year now, and given the current situation, it looks like this will continue. Sometimes, Jiang Xinyu tries to get close to me. I'm a normal woman with physical needs too, but I always push him away harshly, because I find him disgusting. On one hand, I'm afraid he'll bring home a disease from his affairs and infect me. On the other hand, I no longer love him. I can't bring myself to sleep with a man I don't love. A woman can go without sex, but a man absolutely cannot. We haven't slept together for a year, so Jiang Xinyu must have found other outlets. Don't think I'm overly suspicious, but a man who can cheat when the marriage is harmonious and loving won't stay faithful when we're sleeping in separate rooms. I'd sooner believe pigs could fly than believe Jiang Xinyu could refrain from messing around. However, whether he messes around or not doesn't matter to me anymore. I just hope a wealthy, blind woman comes along soon to rescue me, helping me escape this miserable situation. After the meeting, I walked out of the conference room and saw several missed calls and a few voice messages on WeChat. They were all from Jiang Xinyu. What happened? I called Jiang Xinyu back, and his tone wasn't good. Why didn't you answer your phone? I was in a meeting. Why are you calling me? I got injured. I'm at the People's Hospital. Hurry up and come over. Injured? I instinctively asked, how did you get injured out of nowhere? Come to the hospital first. I'm in so much pain. Jiang Xinyu was crying out in pain, wailing like a child, not at all like a man. Useless. To be honest, hearing that he was injured didn't make me worried or sad. It only made me feel annoyed. I asked my boss for leave and rushed to the hospital. When I found Jiang Xinyu, he was a sorry sight, bruised and swollen, with a cast on his left leg, clothes in disarray, and a missing front tooth. He looked terrible and pathetic. What happened to you? Who beat you up? Jiang Xinyu said that his car almost collided with a man's motorcycle at an intersection, causing the man to fall. The guy tried to extort money from him. When Jiang Xinyu refused to pay, the man got angry and beat him up. Where is he? Did you call the police? Jiang Xinyu shook his head. He ran away. The intersection is remote with no surveillance cameras. Even if the police came, they probably couldn't find him. Nowadays, there are cameras everywhere. Even if that intersection has no cameras, nearby areas definitely do. Besides, doesn't your car have a dashcam? It must have captured him. Forget about that. I'm hungry and in pain. Go get me some food. I ordered takeout for Jiang Xinyu, but I still felt that this couldn't be let go easily. I insisted on calling the police. Jiang Xinyu tried to stop me in every way, telling me not to meddle. He gets beaten up and doesn't want to pursue it. Instead, he blames me for meddling. I smelled something fishy. You're lying, aren't you? It wasn't a stranger who beat you up, was it? What do you mean I'm lying? Why would I lie? What do I have to lie about? Suddenly, a bold idea flashed through my mind. Was it one of your lover's husbands who beat you up? Why else would he not want to call the police? And how else could someone on the street beat him so badly that he broke bones? Jiang Xinyu's face turned pale instantly, his eyes avoiding mine, but he still stubbornly denied it. Don't talk nonsense. There's absolutely nothing like that. Fine, if you won't say it, I won't bother either. A client just messaged me to meet and discuss business, so either handle this yourself, get a nurse, or call your mom. Jiang Xinyu was unhappy but didn't dare say anything as I was about to leave. He was probably feeling guilty, afraid that if I stayed, I'd keep questioning him and he wouldn't know how to respond. Anyway, It was Jiang Xinyu who got beaten up and felt the pain, not me. If he doesn't want to pursue it, why should I be anxious or upset? It's just a pity that the person didn't beat him to death on the spot and then compensate me with tens of thousands, allowing me to be a widow with money to raise the kids. As soon as I got back to the office, my mother-in-law called, questioning why Jiang Xinyu was hospitalized, and I, as his wife, was nowhere to be seen. Whoever caused the trouble, let them handle it. Have him call his lover to take care of him. My mother-in-law immediately fell silent. I had randomly guessed the identity of the person who beat up Jiang Xinyu, but I never expected to be right. That day, Jiang Xinyu had left the office under the guise of meeting a client and went to his lover Wei Lufei's house instead. While they were fooling around, Wei Lufei's husband came home unexpectedly. He was supposed to be at his shop, but his brother and sister-in-law came over, and he called Wei Lufei. When she didn't answer, he assumed she was out and brought them home. The result, caught in the act. Jiang Xinyu was beaten up by her husband and his brother. Afraid of the consequences of getting beaten up for sleeping with someone else's wife, he didn't dare report it or make a fuss. He limped to the hospital. His leg was fractured, not broken. When I saw his leg in a cast, I thought it was broken and made up a lie to cover it up. I didn't deliberately investigate to find this out. It was Wei Lufei who came to our door demanding Jiang Xinyu take responsibility that I learned the truth. That day, I got off work on time for once, didn't need to work overtime, and was in a good mood because I had just received my salary and bonus. I even ordered a big cake online. Soon after, the doorbell rang. I thought it was the delivery guy, but when I opened the door, I saw a strange woman. She looked to be in her early 30s, with long black straight hair, heavy makeup, and obviously dressed up. Who are you? I'm Wei Lufei, Jiang Xinyu's girlfriend. Is he home? A mistress? Coming to confront me? I've seen this scenario many times in TV dramas, but never thought such a dramatic scene would play out in my own home. However, my surprise and shock didn't last long, and I quickly composed myself. Come in. I stepped aside to let her in and called Junjun to fetch his father. Jiang Xinyu came out, not knowing what was about to happen, holding a lit cigarette and smoking as he walked. As soon as he saw Wei Lufei, his face turned pale, and he quickly looked at me. I shot him a sharp look and took Junjun to the bedroom, instructing him to stay inside and read his comics. Fortunately, Xin was at her dance class and hadn't come home yet. Otherwise, she would definitely understand what was going on. Junjun is still young and not very curious, so he probably wouldn't think too much about it. I closed the master bedroom door and heard Jiang Xinyu lowering his voice. Please leave. You're killing me by coming here like this. Jiang Xinyu, are you trying to deny everything? You told me countless times that if I got a divorce, you would marry me. Now that I'm divorced, you're avoiding me, not answering my calls or messages. I got beaten up because of you. How could I dare to contact you? Jiang Xinyu's voice was filled with dissatisfaction, anger, helplessness, and pleading. So I guessed right. Jiang Xinyu really was beaten up by his lover's husband. It's all because you wanted to save money and excitement, refusing to go to a hotel and insisting on coming to my place. I started recording the conversation on my phone as I walked toward the living room. Seeing me, Wei Lufei immediately fell silent. Jiang Xinyu signaled with his eyes for Wei Lufei to leave quickly. Wei Lufei's expression turned colder, her eyes reddened, and she questioned with grievance and pain. Why do I get divorced while your family remains intact and happy? You seduced me and ruined my family. You owe me an explanation. Jiang Xinyu opened his mouth, about to speak. I immediately interjected. Jiang Xinyu does owe you an explanation. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to swallow this. Wei Lufei seemed surprised by my words, but quickly nodded in agreement. I really love him. For him, I even gave up custody of my child. Having an affair during your marriage, what right do you have to claim custody of your child? But I was curious about what Wei Lufei saw in Jiang Xinyu. She was dressed in designer brands, and her necklace and watch hinted at her substantial wealth. Whether her family was rich, her ex-husband's family was rich, or she herself was wealthy. Why would a wealthy woman choose a lover who had nothing going for him besides a decent face? Probably because she was blind, just like me. Later, I found out that Wei Lufei met her ex-husband through an arranged marriage. Her ex-husband was short, thin, and dark-skinned, but he was a demolition beneficiary with several apartments, shops, and millions in cash. She married him for the money. However, after marriage, she couldn't stand the thought of spending her life with an ordinary, even ugly man. So, she fell for Jiang Xinyu and secretly had an affair with him. I had a glimmer of hope and said to Wei Lufei, "I'm touched by your love for each other. You two are true soulmates. Jiang Xinyu and I only have a family bond." Before I could finish, Jiang Xinyu interrupted, "Wife, we are a family. We have 2 kids." "Yes, we have 2 kids, but ever since he got involved with you, we've been sleeping in separate rooms. We only stayed together for the children's sake," I said, glaring at Jiang Xinyu, signaling him to keep quiet and not ruin my plan. "How about this? Since you love my husband so much, I can let you have him, but you'll need to pay a sum of money to ensure our livelihood." Wei Lufei frowned, half believing, half doubting. "Are you serious? You don't hate me for breaking up your family? You're willing to divorce Jiang Xinyu?" "Of course," I resented, "but I can't be selfish and make everyone unhappy. But you must give me a satisfactory price. Are you sure you're willing to divorce? How about 200,000 yuan? 300,000. Wei Lufei and I started haggling, while Jiang Xinyu waved his hands and shouted, "Enough! What are you doing? I'm a person, not a commodity." "You say you're a person, but do you live like one? Cheating and hurting me. You caused Miss Wei's divorce and now refuse to take responsibility. If you're a real man, don't let Miss Wei down." Wei Lufei dropped a bombshell at the right moment. "My period is over a month late. I used a pregnancy test this morning, and it's positive. I think I got pregnant from our last time together. I only came to you because I'm sure the baby is yours. An illegitimate child is now in the picture." Jiang Xinyu had no choice but to marry her. Although Wei Lufei's divorce was due to her cheating, her ex-husband gave her considerable property, a house, a car, and 1 million yuan in cash to settle the matter and get custody of the child. Jiang Xinyu would not be losing out by marrying her. Wei Lufei left, giving Jiang Xinyu 2 days to think it over. If he couldn't satisfy her demands within 2 days, she would abort the baby. Jiang Xinyu hadn't dragged out the divorce because he had deep feelings for me, but because he was afraid he would never remarry after divorcing me. Now, with a younger and wealthier woman eager to marry him, he had no reason to refuse. Finally, we agreed on the terms. I would get the house and the children, and he would get the car and 80,000 yuan in savings. Wei Lufei gave me 150,000 yuan up front, and once I confirmed the payment, Jiang Xinyu and I applied for a divorce. After the 1-month cooling-off period, Wei Lufei transferred the remaining 150,000 yuan, and we officially signed the divorce papers. I actually divorced Jiang Xinyu and got the house, the car, and 300,000 yuan in cash. Successfully sold my husband. What a satisfying feeling. Jiang Xinyu and I kept our divorce a secret from his parents, or rather, my former in-laws. By the time they found out, he had already moved out of my house. They didn't mind the divorce itself, but were unhappy that the children and the house stayed with me. They thought Jiang Xinyu got the short end of the stick. He got the short end? I was the real loser. I went against my parents, married far from home, and had 2 kids via C-section, only to be cheated on. He destroyed my love, my marriage, and my family. If I hadn't managed to sell him for 300,000 yuan in the end, I would have hated him forever. Now, I feel we've evened the score. I hired a nanny from a housekeeping agency to clean, cook dinner, and pick up the kids from school. On weekends, if I'm home, I take care of the kids myself. If I'm busy, they go to their grandparents' house. After the divorce, they were no longer my in-laws, but always the children's grandparents. Occasionally, Jiang Xinyu would take the kids to his new place to play. Wei Lufei didn't seem to mind and even bought clothes and toys for them. Overall, I'm quite satisfied with my life now. Without the constraints of marriage and the trouble of a cheating husband, I am full of energy and determined to build a career for myself. When Wei Lufei was 6 months pregnant, she had 2 instances of bleeding due to an unstable fetus. During a visit to a temple to pray for good fortune, I also prayed for her safe and smooth delivery. Although she was the other woman in my marriage, I didn't hate her at all. Without her, Jiang Xinyu wouldn't have agreed to the divorce, and he would have kept dragging me along, causing me nothing but grief with no benefit. Sometimes, when Jiang Xinyu picked up the kids, we would cross paths. He often complained about Wei Lufei's bad temper, pickiness, and laziness. I would always remind him that pregnant women could be moody and should be treated gently, without upsetting them. I urged him to be a good husband and father, taking good care of Wei Lufei. Jiang Xinyu's expression always showed he found it hard to explain. Once, he frowned and asked, "After our divorce, don't you feel any sadness or regret?" I shook my head quickly and firmly. Unconvinced, he asked, "Don't you feel bad that I treat Wei Lufei better than I treated you?" I shook my head again. How could I compare to Wei Lufei? She spent 300,000 yuan to redeem him, or rather, to buy him, and even added a car and a house. She's a big spender. Shouldn't he serve her well? If it were me, I wouldn't spend so much money on a scumbag. Jiang Xinyu finally gave up and stopped bad-mouthing Wei Lufei in front of me. It's not that I'm petty or vengeful, but Jiang Xinyu is a genuinely terrible man. Before the divorce, he cheated with Wei Lufei, sneaking around for an affair and probably bad-mouthing me behind my back to please her. Now that he's married to Wei Lufei, he comes to me, his ex-wife, to complain about his new wife, hoping for my sympathy. If he weren't the father of my children, with our unbreakable blood ties, I would never want to deal with him again. He's disgusting. I hope Wei Lufei is strong and domineering enough to keep him in check, so he won't harm anyone else. Lock him down tightly.